Good morning, children. Today we are going to discuss about excretory system. Very important concept. Today is in excretory system chapter. Most important concept that is called structure of nephron. What do you call that is structure of nephron. So observe carefully. What is nephron? What is the importance of the nephron? Will be discussed. Okay, first of all, you have to know the Bowman's capsule. This is proximal convoluted tubule, Henle's loop, descending loop, ascending loop, collecting duct, like this, efferent arteriole, Bowman's capsule, this glomerulus, okay, like this, and vasa recta. What is called vasa recta. So now we are going to discuss about the structure of the complete information about nephron. So what is this one? Efferent arteriole, PCT, descending loop of Henle, ascending loop, DCT, collecting duct, vasa recta. Okay, so most important for understanding the nephron. Okay, so now the nephron is a, what is nephron? 1 million complex tubular structure. Nephron is how many? 1 million. 1 million are there. Okay, it's a complex tubular structure, nephron. Each nephron consists of a filtering corpuscles called renal corpuscle. So this one is called renal corpuscle. Malphizian body with a, what you called is called renal corpuscle, and what you call this is renal tubule. Malphizian body, glomerulus together called renal capsule, and remaining tube is called renal tubule, and the collecting duct. Okay, now the renal tubule opens into longer tubule called collecting duct. This open into the which one? Collecting duct. Next, most important thing is the renal tubule begins with a double-walled cup-shaped structure called the Bowman's capsule. Renal tubule start with the Bowman's capsule. Okay, renal tubule starts with Bowman's capsule. It's a double-walled cup which encloses a ball of capillaries. So many capillaries. Okay, that delivers fluid to be tubules. Okay, that is important. Called the glomerulus. This blood vessel is called glomerulus. Together constitute this Bowman's capsule, glomerulus together considered renal corpuscle. The endothelium of glomerulus has many pores. This glomerulus have many pores. Those are called, what is called, fenestra. What is called? Here this is called fenestra, many pores, fenestra. Endothelium of glomerulus have many pores called fenestra. The external parietal layer of the Bowman's capsule is made up of, okay, this one. This is called made up of simple squamous epithelium. And visceral layer is made up of epithelial cells called, so this is called podocytes. This is called podocytes, internal visceral layer. The podocytes end in food process which cling on the basement membrane of the glomerulus. So here the podocytes, the basement membrane of glomerulus. Here the podocytes will be there. They will be helpful for the releasing of the secretions, filtrate. Okay, process which cling the basement membrane of the glomerulus. The opening between the process is called, between the foot process are called filtration slits. They will be called what is called filtration slits. The renal tubule continues further to form proximal convoluted tubule. What do you call this is proximal convoluted tubule. And what is another important one? Followed by the Henle's loop, U-shaped Henle's loop. So the Henle's loop, very important here. What we have to remember is the Henle's loop has a thin descending and a thick ascending lip. thin descending limb, thick ascending limb. The ascending limb continuous highly coiled tubule region called the distal convoluted tubule. This is distal convoluted tubule. So the distal convoluted tubule, many nephrons open to the straight tube called collecting duct. So the collecting duct runs through the medullary pyramids, you know very well, region of the pelvis. Several collecting ducts fuse to form papillary duct, deliver into the calyces to ureters. In the renal tubule, proximal convoluted tubule, distal convoluted tubule of the nephron, when proximal convoluted tubule open into the Henle's loop, distal convoluted tubule open into the collecting duct. So medullary region. So proximal convoluted tubule, distal convoluted tubule are situated in the cortical region of the kidneys, whereas the loop of Henle is arranged in the medullary region. In majority of nephrons, the loop of Henle is too short and extend only very little part. Loop of Henle is very short and very to the medullary are called. Only the loop of Henle extend only medullary region. They are called, what do you call that one? That is called the juxtamedullary nephrons. Sorry, cortical nephrons. What you called? Cortical nephrons. So loop of Henle only little bit only in the cortex region. If the loop of Henle prolonged and enlarged and enter into the medullary region in the sense, they will be called juxtamedullary nephrons. What you called? Juxtamedullary nephrons. Next, the capillary bed of the nephrons. Okay, the capillary bed of the nephrons. First capillary bed of the nephron is the glomerulus. Okay, glomerulus. And the other is the peritubular capillaries. This one, this is a peritubular capillaries, nothing but vasa recta. Vasa recta. So peritubular capillaries. Okay, in that supplied to the efferent and drained by the efferent arteriole. So efferent and efferent arteriole, I said, and efferent arteriole, efferent arterioles. So now the efferent arteriole that comes of the glomerulus forms a capillary network. That is only peritubular capillaries. I said, no, this is called peritubular capillaries. That is only called what you called vasa recta, parallel to loop of Henle. So vasa recta is absent in the cortical, reduced or absent in the cortical nephrons. In the cortex region, the vasa recta is absent. Okay, that is important. Next, mechanism of urine formation. So how the urine formation will be takes place, that is important. There are, in the nitrogenous waste formed as a result of breakdown of amino acids is converted urea in the liver by the ornithine cycle. So the liver ammonia will be converted into urea. Amino acids is converted into urea. So through the ornithine cycle. Urine formation involves three main processes. Number one, glomerular filtration. Number two, filtration, reabsorption, secretion. Filtration, reabsorption, secretion. So this is important. Glomerular filtration, tubular reabsorption, and tubular secretion. So come to glomerular filtration. Blood enters the kidney from the renal artery. Okay. Now into the glomerulus, blood is composed of large quantities of water. Blood is consists of so many what you called water, colloidal particles, sugar, salts, and nitrogenous and end products. So what is this one? This should have to be. So these end products, nitrogenous end products, the first step in urine form is the filtration of blood. Here filtration will be takes place. Okay, filtration of the blood and takes place in the glomerulus. This is called glomerular filtration. So now glomerular filtration, the glomerular membrane has large surface area and is more permeable to water, and small molecules present in the blood plasma, blood enter into the glomerulus, okay, faster with greater force through the efferent arteriole and leaves the glomerulus through efferent arteriole. Efferent arteriole coming, efferent arteriole it is going. Next, much slower. This force is because of the difference in sizes between the efferent and efferent arterioles. So sizes are different. The efferent and efferent arterioles. So efferent arteriole is wider than the efferent arteriole. So the hydrostatic pressure, which is 55 mmHg. Kidney produce about how many liters of the urine? You know very well. 180 liters of glomerular filtrate in 24 hours. How much? 180 liters. Okay, 180 liters in 24 hours. Now what will happen, you see, the molecules such as water, glucose, amino acid, nitrogen substance pass freely from the blood to the glomerulus. Molecules larger than 5 nanometers are barred from entering the tubule. Glomerular pressure is a chief force that pushes water and solute out of the blood. So glomerular pressure is very important to set the solutes to the out. So now the glomerular blood pressure is 55 mmHg, is much higher than the other capillary beds. The two opposing forces contributed the plasma proteins in the capillaries. So opposite forces were what? That is called colloidal osmotic pressure, capsular hydrostatic pressure. So colloidal osmotic pressure 30 mmHg and capsular hydrostatic pressure 15 mmHg. So what they will do? They will be stops the FF 55 mmHg, means glomerular filtration. Now what is the full filtration, net filtration pressure? So 55 mmHg. Okay, net filtration pressure, glomerular hydrostatic pressure minus colloidal osmotic pressure plus capsular hydrostatic pressure. So 55 mmHg plus minus 55 mmHg minus 30 mmHg plus 15 mmHg is called net 10 mmHg. What is 10 mmHg? Net filtration pressure. Net filtration pressure is 10 mmHg. So that is important. Net filtration. The effective glomerular pressure of 10 mmHg results in the ultrafiltration. Glomerular filtration rate approximately 120 to 125 ml liters per minute. What is that one? Glomerular filtration rate how much? 122. These are very important. So glomerular filtration rate. Okay. So how much it seems? Approximately 125. What is called? 125 milliliters per minute. So that's a glomerular filtration rate. Next, blood from the glomerulus passed out through the efferent arteriole. The smooth muscle of the efferent arteriole contract, resulting in the vasoconstriction. The relative construction of substances in the blood plasma, the glomerular filtrate, the glomerular filtered blood plasma, except there are no plasma proteins. Glomerular filtrate equal to plasma, blood plasma, but no proteins, no plasma proteins. Now, in cortical nephrons, okay, blood from the efferent arteriole flows into peritubular capillary beds and enter the venous system carrying with recovered solutes and water from the interstitial interstitial fluid that surrounds the tubule. Now come to what is called tubular reabsorption. The proximal convoluted tubule is there or not? This proximal convoluted tubule, glucose, lactose, lactate, amino acid, sodium and water in the filtrate is reabsorbed in the PCT. Reabsorbed in the PCT. Sodium is reabsorbed by active transport through sodium potassium. Okay. Sodium potassium in the PCT. Small amounts of urea and uric acid also reabsorbed. Small amounts of urea and uric acid also reabsorbed in the PCT. Descending lip of Henle's loop. It is permeable to water. So descending loop of Henle's loop is permeable to water due to presence of aquaporins. So in the descending loop, what is called aquaporins are there, with that the permeability of the water descending loop. Next, ascending loop, and also lost in the descending loop, hence sodium and chloride gets concentrated in the filtrate. So descending lymph, water loss, no, sodium and chloride will be concentrated. What about ascending lymph? Ascending lymph of Henle's is impermeable to water but permeable to solutes such as sodium, chloride, potassium. So the distal convoluted tubules, what about distal convoluted tubule? Distal convoluted tubule recovers the water, distal convoluted recovers the water and secretes the potassium, sodium, chloride, and the water remains in. Okay, water will be remains. So that's why concentrated in what is called descending lymph, diluted in filtrate in ascending lymph. Remember, very important bit. So most of the reabsorption from the point depend on the body's need. So reabsorption, suppose more water required, reabsorption. More reabsorption. Less means less reabsorption. So like that. And reabsorption of bicarbonate takes place to regulate the blood pH. So HCO3 reabsorption regulates the pH also. Now come to collecting duct. The collecting duct function what? This is important. The collecting duct is permeable to water, secretes the potassium, and reabsorbs the what you called sodium to produce concentrated urine. Okay, that is important. The change in the permeability to water is due to the presence of number of water permeable channels called aquaporins. Next, tubular secretion. So that is very important. That one is also secretion. Secretion means releasing into the which one? The porins. So that is aquaporins are there. So next class we will be discuss about tubular secretion. What is the meaning of secretion? Releasing, absorption, taking out. So once again children, so nephron 100 million are there. So renal capsule means malpighian and glomerulus. So renal tubule means Bowman's capsule too. Okay, descending loop of Henle, ascending loop of Henle, distal convoluted tubule, PCT all together called collecting duct. So Bowman's capsule with blood capillary is called glomerulus. So that is called renal capsules. There will be fenestra is there here to filtrate and podocytes to that. Filtration will be takes place. Filtration slits are there because of the efferent artery blood is coming. Filtration after, so filtrate will be go down to PCT. The remaining blood will be go to efferent arteriole and connected to vasa recta to veins. PCT enter into the Henle's loop. Descending distal convoluted open into the collecting duct. So the papillary duct open into the this collecting duct all together forms papillary duct merge and open into calyces. Calyces open renal pelvis to ureters. There are two types of nephrons, cortical nephrons and juxtamedullary nephrons. Cortical nephrons means the Henle's loop only in the cortex region. Juxtamedullary nephrons means the what you called the Henle's loop will reach the medulla. So only cortical level little bit only in the medulla means which one? Henle's loop, that is called cortical nephrons. If the what you called Henle's loop go beyond to the medullary region in the sense that's called juxtamedullary nephrons, and there will be peritubulary capillaries are there from efferent arteries, they will be formed like vasa recta. So like that. So you believe or not, 180 liters of filtrate will be formed for 24 hours. So in urine formation, most important steps are what you called glomerular filtration, tubular reabsorption, tubular secretion. Glomerular filtration is very important, net filtration, right? So glomerular filtration is so very important. From efferent arterial blood is coming, glomerular blood pressure is 55 mmHg, higher than the old other capillary beds. The two opposing forces are there. What you called colloidal osmotic pressure, capsular hydrostatic pressure. So 55 mmHg minus 30 mmHg plus 15 mmHg. So total net glomerular filtration pressure is okay. What is that net filtration pressure is 10 mmHg. Because of the 10 mmHg, the filtration is going on. That is called ultra filtration. So glomerular filtration rate per minute how much? 125 milliliters per minute. Okay. Next, the tubular reabsorption. Proximal convoluted tubule reabsorbs the glucose, lactate, amino acid, sodium and water. The descending limb permeable to water means Henle's loop have two limbs, right? Descending limb and ascending limb. Descending permeable to water, so concentration is more the filtrate. Ascending limb impermeable to water, permeable to solutes such as sodium, chloride, potassium, so more what you called less concentrated. DCT secretes the potassium, sodium, chloride, water and filtrate. HCO3 reabsorption is very important. It will decide the pH of blood. Collecting duct secretes the potassium, reabsorbs the sodium because of the aquaporins. So aquaporins are helpful for the reabsorption of which one? The what you call sodium and water. Okay, this is a very useful information. So mainly how the urine is forming based upon three concepts only. Urine forming: filtration, reabsorption, secretion. Filtration, absorption filtration, absorption, secretion. That's it. These three are helpful for the formation of which one? Urine.